Hey guys, I thought that some of you might be interested in taking a look at my old PC, and I was actually just checking out my new egg orders, and it's actually going to be 9 years old this year, but it still runs perfectly fine as if it was day one, which is kind of why I decided to build my new PC again, because it's just the quality of all the components is so much better than some of the components you might get in a PC you buy from Best Buy or Amazon. Sometimes they kind of cheap out on certain components and they may not last as long, unfortunately. So I thought I would show you everything in here. First of all, in the back is a motherboard, and I think this motherboard cost $80 at the time. It's MSI Z77A G45 Intel chipset motherboard, and the processor I got, I have to double check because I kind of forget. I know it's an Intel i5. I got the Intel i5 3350P. It says it's 3rd generation Ivy Bridge quad-core processor. Kind of wish at the time I would have gotten a little bit of a better processor, because it's been really almost impossible to edit videos on this computer anymore, because it's just too slow. But I did start editing my videos on this computer. It was the only one I had at the time when I started my channel, and I think I still could edit on it, but it just became a lot easier to edit on my laptop instead. Probably also because of not only the newer processor, but my laptop has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and this one only has 8. You can see in the back I have 2 4 gigabyte sticks of Team Vulcan RAM, these orange sticks back here. And again, another thing, I wish I would have gotten the 16 gigabytes, but at the time I was definitely on a little bit of a stricter budget. And then I kind of built this PC for gaming originally, and also editing photos, but I decided to go with 2 graphics cards in SLI. You can see this little SLI bridge here, and with SLI they have to be the same type of graphics card. These ones are 2 different brands, but they are the same one. Let me just double check which one it was. I bought them at 2 different times. I think I started out with probably this one on the top first, and then it looks like a couple of months later I bought the second one to do the SLI setup. So the graphics cards in here are 2 GeForce GTX 650 Ti boosts, 2 gigabytes, I think DDR5 RAM, and I forgot to mention that these RAM sticks are DDR3, and are we on DDR5 now? I think some PCs can do DDR5. I'm not sure, but I think the ones I installed for the new PC are DDR4. So this should be better quality RAM, faster RAM than these ones. And I got the Corsair HX 750 watt power supply, really great power supply. If not a little bit loud, not the quietest power supply. I initially did the stock cooler for my processor, but I upgraded a couple of months after building the PC to this cooler, which is this absolutely horrible thing to install. Oh my gosh. It's so cool looking, and when it runs, it has a blue LED light, which I liked, but it was horrible. Each of these little copper heat sinks is like a razor blade when you're trying to get in there to screw it in. I had so many cuts on my hands from that. And if I'm not mistaken, no, I am mistaken. I thought that I didn't even screw in one of the screws because it was almost inaccessible, but it looks like I did actually screw them all in. And I don't even think they sell these ones anymore, but it was just terrible, and my motherboard doesn't even recognize this cooler at all. I probably could have done an update to see if it would recognize it later. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I've always had to control this fan on here with a program which you can control your fans with, which has worked fine because otherwise it would just be running at full blast the whole time. Anyway, right here are my storages. I have a Kingston SSD, 120 gigabytes. I believe this one is a 1 terabyte hard drive, and then this Western Digital green I installed later is a 2 terabyte one to get just a little bit more storage because the 1 terabyte wasn't enough. It's so cool to look at all of the old components, especially seeing the new components so recently and comparing it. This old motherboard just doesn't look as flashy, but it's got that cool look to it still, I think. And this little card right there, I think is a Wi-Fi adapter card. Back then, not a lot of motherboards would come with like a Wi-Fi adapter built in like they do now. And that was kind of a surprise when I was building the PC, and I turned it on and I couldn't get internet because my modem was farther away from where I was putting the computer. So I had to buy this one separately and then put it in after everything was built. There's a couple of fans here, and then I know I installed another one down here that has a blue LED in it. So in terms of like RGB and colors, I only had the blue fan here and then the blue fan in the PC cooler. That was all the RGB that I had. So I think this was no, it looks partially modular power supply. It looks like the CPU plug-in and the motherboard 24 pin were already plugged into this power supply already. And then up here, I do have a disk drive. And I kind of thought if I want one for the new PC, that was something I was thinking about a lot. Do I want to have another disk drive? It's nice to have. But it seems like the industry is kind of shifting away from disk drives. And in truth, I guess I really don't use this disk drive that often, not really that much, so I decided to pick a case that didn't have the disk drive and save money not buying one and not having to install it an extra, so let's see. I think that's pretty much it on this. I'm gonna miss this PC. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with it. I'm probably gonna hold on to it and research some things I can do with it because it does still work good. I don't know. I know if I was to like recycle it, they say to take your hard drives out so that people don't steal your information, right? And maybe I can even just keep these hard drives. I considered taking them out and just plugging them into the new computer, but instead I got 2 new hard drives, and I've already saved everything off of these, so I could just sort of transfer it over. But I hope you guys found that a little interesting. I always like to look at old PCs like this because you really get to see how technology is progressing and changing, and the style of things are changing. And I'm really curious to see in 8 or 10 years or so when I build a new computer what everything looks like compared to my current one. I might be looking at my new one right now and be thinking how dated it looks. But right now it looks so fancy and high tech. So, alright. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I'll see you guys in some new videos this year.